You've warned that there will be massive consequences and severe costs for Russia if it were to make a military incursion into Ukraine, but so far from the G7 we haven't heard details of what those costs and consequences would be. Why not?
What we've seen this weekend is a united front from the G7 that there would be massive consequences if there were to be a Russian incursion into Ukraine, which would carry severe costs. And we are very aligned with all of our partners on that.
But isn't President Putin inclined to just dismiss that as strong words if it isn't very, very clear to him explicitly what those costs and consequences will be?
Well, President Putin has had a call with President Biden. He's made it very clear that this carries the support of the G7 countries as a whole, and that should be very concerning for Vladimir Putin.
What will actually happen for there to be a cost high enough for him to think again, do you think?
Well, I do not think Russia wants to face severe economic consequences.
And is Britain prepared to put up with a bit of economic pain in other G7 countries in order to deliver those consequences to Russia? For example, with the City of London, would you think of looking again at rules on money laundering?
The most important thing is that we defend and advance freedom and democracy, and that is the main topic of the discussion at the G7 this weekend. We cannot have short-term economic gain at the expense of our long-term freedom and democracy.
Well, that brings me on to China. You said you're very concerned about economic coercion by China. Can you give an example of the kind of thing that you're concerned about?
Well, what we have set out this weekend is a positive agenda for G7 countries to do more to invest in low and medium income countries so they have access to honest and reliable infrastructure investment to help their climate change transition. We've talked about expanding trade with those countries as well as making sure that technology as standards are set to help freedom and democracy. And those are the key underpinning principles. What we want is we want countries to have an alternative and to not be strategically dependent on China.
I mean, how does the G7 and Britain regard China? Is it, an enemy of freedom-loving countries?
What we've set out is a positive agenda about making sure that countries have alternative sources of investment, alternative sources of trade, and that we're making sure that we abide by and ensure others are abiding by the rules-based international system. And the issue we've seen with China is undermining, in the case of the World Trade Organization, some of those rules and also economic coercion.
If I may just ask one more. Just as you and the other G7 countries are here in Liverpool talking about huge issues of international importance, you and other ministers are also getting asked questions about Christmas parties that may have broken lockdown rules, about the Prime Minister's financial arrangements. I mean, do you think, how is the party going to get a grip? Does the Conservative Party maybe need a new leader to get a grip and clean up the mess?
Our Prime Minister has done a fantastic job, first of all, of delivering Brexit, which was a priority for the British people, but also helping us deal with COVID. We were one of the first countries to roll out the vaccine. It's a fact of ingenuity and enterprise that we saw the successful development of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and I think the British public understand that.
All right.